So, just recording a little update as I've been under this little there's a few things that's happened since I recorded a video earlier. Right now I'm just sweeping the kitchen and record this audio. After I finished listening to client messages, sent a reply to a client who messaged a couple of times yesterday while we were out burying kittens, so I responded to her and ate my porridge and had a shower. Then I went to check my bank account because I am a bit in the air with a situation regarding the housing association and kind of waiting to see what they're actually doing with regards to something that I will share more on when I know what they're doing. But when I went to check my bank, I found that I'd got some money in there, and didn't know where exactly where it come from. So I looked, I thought maybe my dad had sent something, because he does that occasionally, but it was actually an early payment from a client, which I find very interesting in that I was creating the video that I was creating. I got this idea to do this sort of sharing of my processing and my experiences and how my nervous system's feeling and what I do. And whilst I'm starting to create that content, a client pays me and pays me early. I was expecting to be paid tomorrow. That had been the arrangement. I thought they've been made and being paid early is always a bonus. And that payment enabled me to pay for my room rent for this week, which is another kind of one of the one of the deepest stresses that I feel is that I absolutely adore where my base is, where my therapy room is. I love where I'm based. I love the cafe, the wellness centre. I love my room. I share it with my Reiki master and who's a very good friend and like a spiritual sister. And the thought and the idea of having to give that up, having been through a lot to stay in that space, it sometimes feels really troubling that I can't pay that. And I'm always like asking the spirit, the divine, the universe, whatever, like if I'm supposed to stay, provide me with the means to stay. It's very confusing to me to have felt like I'm supposed to stay through an awful lot of stuff that's gone on over the years that I've been there, that I've put up with, like gossip and malicious rumours, gossip, challenges, things aimed at me from other people who are there, or because of other people that are there, not from other people that are there, but because of other people that are there. And you know, me being there saying, well, look, I'm just here because this is a good energy building, it's a good space to be, it's a good location, and I like I feel like I'm meant to be here, and I've had these messages from spirit that I'm supposed to be here. So I stay here. I stay in this space, and I'm here. And then people like energetically project at me because of their own beliefs and feelings and emotions, and I'm just like, I'm here to serve in my capacity, and I'm here and I believe that I'm supposed to be here in this building and in this space. And then so when I can't pay my rent there, I get very uncertain, and it brings up, activates all of these previous responses within my nervous system. And like, I've more than once been willing to leave, like energetically and emotionally, like I've prepared myself, like, no, like I'm not meant to be here, clearly, like if the income doesn't come, I'm not meant to be here. And then excuse me when I just talk to my cat. Well done, Mila. Well done, Billy. My cat, who's lost her kittens, has just had a really good meal, so it feels important to give her some love. Yes. So, hold on, because I'm going in the room where it's noisy. Willow's just eaten, Myra. Willow's just eaten.
What day?
So
Also got my aging day last year. I'm not going to birthdays. I'm salty.
So I got paid. I was able to pay a week of room rent. I actually have another outstanding amount to come in that will also go towards that room rent, which means that I covered my rent for this month. I owe them a little, so a fair bit, but then generally understanding. I feel like having been able to pay that and know that the outstanding payment that I have to come in that is for this month will go towards this month, one way or another. I feel confident that is my rent for this month paid, and that is a sign that, yeah, for now I have to stay put in the space, and that makes me happy because, again, like, if I don't have the therapy room, there are things that it's more challenging for me to do when I don't have the therapy room. When I didn't have the therapy room through, I don't know where the years go, through 2020, through 2022 or 2023, through 2023, the building had to go through updating fire safety regulations, and that meant that I couldn't go and use the room, and that did have a knock-on effect on a lot of what I could do, because I didn't have access to a therapy room to go and create content and have a space to be away from home to create content where I was undisturbed, and where I feel like I'm in that creative space more. When, you know, you're in a house with full of people, there's things that you have to like navigate around to be able to do all the things that you need to do. You know, there's interruptions. Like it's challenging for me to host client calls. For example, when I'm in a house where there's 3 co-educated children and my husband is doing whatever he's doing, whether he's listening to things or creating things or whatever, it's difficult when I don't, in the space that I was in the house that I was in at the time, didn't have a space that I could have the quiet that's needed to have quiet sessions, and I didn't have the space either to have a room for a therapy table to be able to do like hands-on physical stuff like massage or hands-on Reiki sessions. So to have my room is a big part of how much better I can provide what I do. So I've paid my room rent, and then what I have left I've been able to then ask my daughter, my eldest daughter, to go and get a little bit of shopping that we need, like bread. And so then what occurred then was I was like, right, I'm going to go and I'm going to do the things that I said I'll do and go create a video while I'm doing it. House stuff, and I went to sit on the bed to transfer money to my daughter, and the cat came and got on me, and then I ended up being under the cat for about half an hour or so. So, you know, we're a few hours on from when I made that last video now, but I have actually not consumed much. I have checked social media just to check on, like I posted saying that if anyone knew of any kittens that needed a mum, we had a mum who was looking for kittens, so I was just checking up on my content that I put up yesterday, but I haven't doom scrolled, which is a bonus, and I haven't opened my game to play, which is my distraction mode to stop me from going into my head. This is the only time I'm listening to music today, because it does help me to take action. This is my daughter's youngest daughter's bedroom. It's currently full of boxes, which have mostly got a couple of boxes of her stuff, which will be in this room. Fresh stuff, soft toys, books. Soft toys and books. But a lot of it is actually yarn from my previous handmade business. So that's what I'm sorting out, because some of that yarn is damaged by moths. Some of it I've got ready to get rid of. Like charity shop. But the hand dyed yarn, I'd like to get to use. So yeah, that's the plan. So let's see where we go. I just want to explain what I just picked up off the floor. Was in there were some boxes, small boxes under my bed with small yarn club. Yeah, small yarn club, old yarn clubs. I used to get yarn clubs from the hand-dyed yarn, the dyers that I used to buy from. And there was two small boxes under the bed, which Willow, the cat, kind of rooted her way into to, I don't know, put the kids in there. Something, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what was going on in her head. And I emptied the boxes of the yarn to make the boxes more of a comfortable space for her to put two kittens in. And that actually just, I put them on the floor in this room where I knew or thought start of this week I would have been in this room finishing, continuing doing what I'm doing. The boxes are in some kind of order of what's in them. They're going to be anyway. They're not at the moment because they're packed from when we moved or have been repacked since we moved, sort of like to condensed boxes. So I'm now repacking the boxes in an orderly way so that I can more easily find what I would like to find when I decide that I have a knit or crochet project that I want to take on. So that's why I'm picking yarn up off the floor. There isn't really yarn on the floor in this room, but I did empty out a box for the cat to give birth in. It's actually some stuff there for the cat, which is my daughter's stuff, which was in a canvas box, which is the cat gave birth in 3 weeks ago. And that's just her taking my daughter to take up to her room. That's not sort of order. But yeah, it just kind of dropped on the floor with the intention of coming to it Monday and or Tuesday, but then spent those 2 days trying to save kittens. So just also to say that I'm doing this still with this pain radiating through these centers, this space here, my back. So yeah, well, this is going to help. I'm going to take some of those first. This is what I created when I'm creating yarn projects. Good stuff. So this whole process is a lot challenging. It's overwhelming because there's a lot of it. This was my own, like this handmade business that I had. I spent 8 years building. I loved what I did. I loved what I made, but it wasn't viable business wise. Some of that is down to self-worth. Some of that is down to putting it in the wrong spaces. Yeah. And sharing it to people who didn't value what I created. Again, these are hand dyed yarns. Like, I've literally got probably thousands of different colorways. Everything I create with these is completely different. For example, this is a hat made with hand dyed yarn. Like, no two, even if I make the same hat with the same colorway, no two are ever the same. Just another hat, different colorway. Again, no two, even if I make the same hat, the same yarn, they'll always be completely different. So everything I made was completely unique. Almost everything. I did use plain colours too. I made plain things too. I'm not. It's not. The purpose of this is not to show what I've created. It's just to say that I spent literally hundreds of hours creating things for very little in return. And clearly, there's a pattern of that repeating in how I overgive myself now energetically, and don't receive back the same equally energetically. So there's that side of it. That I'm like this is the stuff that I had for my livelihood that I felt I put a lot of hours and effort and time into, but that never really truly took off. There's then the fact that these like hand-dyed skeins of yarn are like 20 quid each. Not I To be fair, I was buying it before it was that much. Like, I don't know what it is now. It could be pushing 30 quid per 100 grams now. I haven't shopped hand-dyed yarn for a few years. But also a lot of this is damaged by moths from our old house because for whatever reason moths were an issue. So there's an element of sadness in that. This is hundreds of pounds worth of yarn, some of which is unusable. But some of it is usable for other things. And I also don't want to bring the moth larvae into this house to the degree that it causes a problem for us here. But obviously it's here, it's in the house, so we're in the house anyway. Also, these houses are old houses who potentially have a moth issue of their own. Who knows? So I know that the area had a moth. The area had lots of people had problems with moths in the area because it would be in the local group. People in the same area vicinity going like, "There's moths in my house. Like my clothing's damaged." Very nice. Moths don't attack synthetic stuff. They only tend to attack particularly wool and silk. It's the larvae that consume it. They'll go up cotton and bamboo too if there's nothing else, but they don't eat plastic. They don't eat acrylic. They don't eat polyester, which is not an argument for having acrylic and polyester. Really, it's not. Clothing myself in plastic really doesn't appeal. So, that being said, a lot of what I'm doing is sort of activates emotionally some of the emotions around like feeling like that business didn't succeed because of me. That business didn't succeed because of something I was doing wrong, or that business didn't succeed because my work, my creativity wasn't good enough, which is literally bullshit. And I think even like all parts of me know that's bullshit. I'm actually I'm really good at what I do. I used to create and stuff now. So what I'm trying to do here is choose what things are too damaged and need to go. Choose what things need to ban. I'm actually okay to go to a charity shop. For example, I just found silver metallic thread, which I absolutely detested using, but used for a couple of big projects. Kind of cute, interwoven with all the stuff. I actually have tons of colours of it. You can see them, it's silver and purple. And there's gold and there's green and there's blue. And I've kept it because it actually works in really nicely with things. Let's just see here. Like it's interwoven into this. You can see, but like it's interwoven into that. It's also got sequin yarn. This is sequin yarn and sparkle yarn. So it works really well, but it's a bugger to create with because it's like it behaves like I don't know how to describe it. But there's like, do you want to keep it? It actually is really good. I don't know. Going in the box again. But at this point, I am overwhelmed by the amount of processing that is to do. So at this point, I'm looking at this is a lot of this is actually really beautiful alpaca. Yeah. Some of it is showing signs of damage. Um, it's whole balls, but also not whole balls. Signs of damage. This is like, well, this probably just wants to go in the bin. This one. Not enough to do anything with. Go in the bin. Handle it. So this is like a wool alpaca blend. This is one of my favourite chunky yarns to use for plain stuff. And I've got like 3 or 4 different colours in there. But there's also some like scraps of stuff in here. And there's some scraps of cotton, which this is where then the sensory processing of like does it want to go in the bin? Does it want to go to a charity shop? Like it probably should just go in the bin. And that's what like stops me. And I'm just trying to decide if I need to go and get another box. Put some of this into. A lot green sparkly. Teal green sparkly. And all the time I'm doing this, like there's this, I guess, grieving process for what I couldn't do. Like all the plans that I had for all of the yarn and for that business. Like I plan to teach again because knitting and crochet yarn crafts activities that they really help to calm the nervous system. They're meditative practices. I think I've mentioned this in a video I made recently about it. Were knitting and crochet were originally practiced by monks in cemetery. seminary, seminary, and in monasteries because they made the clothes for the monks to wear, and it's a meditative practice. It's a practice that you do if you're doing it mindfully and not using other things at the same time to numb out, like wine or TV. Past versions of me. And meditative practices, they are the repetitive nature of them makes them repetitive, uh, makes them use that different side of the creating things and the creative side of the brain, and it puts you into a calming state. And I was looking to teach with the with the thought that it does like bring peace of mind, and it does help to relieve stress and lower blood pressure. It's a thing that you can do to support your nervous system. That was not my sole path to use that solely to support people to support the nervous system. I learned a vast number of other tools since that the tools that I use, and this is time intensive. Creating the videos again, creating the videos that would then be used for my YouTube channel, for teaching, were again, that's time consuming. Making videos to teach stitches, it's time consuming when that's your means of income to support your family. Like, you have to see results in an income, or you've got to find time to do something else to create the income whilst you do that. And then it's like, you can't do both, because in time wise, there's only so many hours in a day. So if okay, so I'll go and get some other employment to like get an income, I then still, where do I then find the time if I'm working 20 to 40 hours a week in employment? Where do I find the time then to create the videos to teach what I'm teaching? So you literally can't do both. It's only if you've got other stable means of income already that you can do that. Around it, either you have a partner in full-time employment who's providing, or you have some other means of employment that you already have got established. So you may already have an established business that's creating more passive income already, or maybe invest, or maybe you're in real estate, any of those things that create and generate income. But if you're talking about exchanging time for money and then creating content for something like, teaching yarn crafts, there's only so many hours in the day in that way. So yeah, processing as I go through this, and the fact that this stuff came with me, because I didn't have the time to go through it when we were so very quickly. Then like, okay, you're moving, you don't get like much time, and we were under pressure to move because of the eviction notice. There wasn't a lot of time to process and go, well, we'll wait a bit longer. So yeah, lots of feelings and reflections come up as I go through this, and I think that's why doing it is a challenge, because it's like, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to acknowledge this, the shadow parts of like the failure, the worthiness, the I haven't put my finger on it. Like the years that I spent in this, 7, 8 years that I had that business, and ignored for at least 3 years that there was something else I should be doing. And then there's like, because I'm like, I've already invested all of this energy, financially and time wise, and like my energy into these things that I've created, and I've been creating products. Like it felt like I'd wasted all that time, all of those years. And there's definitely some resistance there to processing this and feeling like when I have to throw things away because I have like already thrown some hand away this week because it's too far gone. I threw some away when we moved because it's too far gone to salvage. Like that thought of the money that I invested into the yarn at the time, fully with the intention of like using it. It's not like I invested and then intended to use it, although far more yarn. We won't talk about it. Yeah, lots to process. And I think that's not part of what's going on at the moment. I think most of that's down to lack of sleep and like the loss of the kittens. But this is overwhelming to do. Plus the decorating of the house. Like we've covered these walls. These walls only really needed like a top coat of paint now, but I can't get to the walls to paint the walls, so also an issue type of thing. Um, so it doesn't get done, and I hide in Facebook or Instagram or YouTube consumption or not knowing how to carry on with this. So with that in mind, I'm going to put these in the bin. Get another bag in a box to put this wool in. So this is cotton and this is wool, natural fibre, like that the moths may consume. So I'm going to get another box to put that in. But I'm going to cook dinner apparently. Maybe the husband will cook dinner actually. He did say he would cook one of the boxes. I'm going to go check messages, see a couple of client messages come through. So I'm going to check them and continue, see where we continue next after I've